Heyo everyone, it's AJ, and today I would like to talk about one of my favourite Bungo light novels, which is 55 Minutes. Now, this is the fourth light novel, well, in terms of in English publications, I think if I remember correctly, technically it's the fifth, because Gaiden had been out by that point. We still don't have that yet, but soon, we're getting it soon. But, for the meantime, here is the fourth light novel. It's 55 minutes. And up until Stormbringer's release, it was the thickest boy at 236 pages. Yeah, Stormbringer kind of ruined that a wee little bit, but doesn't matter. Second biggest boy. So, up until that point, this was like one of my favourite light novels. It's like the story in this is just, first of all, it's ridiculous, and also it's also very gruesome at times, and it really kind of shows how dark this series can go at points. So yeah, it's also one of the interesting light novels because, first of all, up until that point, all the light novels had been set in the past. So the first one being Dazai's entry exam was technically 2 years before the main event of the main line. And then the second light novel, Dazai in the Dark Era, like, obviously, set, like, 4 years before that. And the majority of the third light novel, The Untold Origins of the Detective Agency, was set, obviously, when Rambo and all that is younger, and when the AD actually became a thing. So, this is the first story that was set in present time, like, during the mainline story. And this is set just after volume 10, so just after the whole Fitzgerald fight and whatnot, but just before the cannibalism arc. So it gives you a kind of rough idea where the characters are at that point, especially because, well, the POV of this light novel is actually, the actual main character of the series. So he actually gets his own, like, POV, which is a rarity, because for the most part, nearly every light novel is done by somebody else. So, yeah, interesting in that degree. Also, just as I'm, like, looking at this cover, do you want to know, like, something really stupid about my edition, like, specifically? The format is squinty. Like, how it was printed is just slightly skewed, and it, like, tries to fix itself, and then it just gets squinty again. So the majority of, like, the text in this is just off slightly, and it's really annoying. But see the illustrations? Perfectly fine. That makes no sense. Also, just to show how stupid I am at times, I didn't even realise that Dazai was on the fucking cover. Because I was just more focused on the fact that Atago and Atsushi are on the fucking covers, but I never even realised fucking Dazai's there. So, yeah, it's just one of those times, isn't it? Obviously, I realised afterwards, but, like, I think until after I finished reading it, I didn't realise that he was on the cover. I just thought it was just colours, I'm not gonna lie, because I was more focused on them. Oh, but, yeah. So, let's dive into it. So this is going to be a long ass video, and if you have seen my Stormbringer video, I can talk about these books. So let's just give it a pal, shall we? So let's begin talking about just the stunningness of, like, the coloured pages, because, like, how adorable is, like, this, like, first picture. Like, it's so adorable. And see, once you know the story, it's just like, oh, can it just be, like, this sweet and peaceful, like, all the time? But actually, he's just having, like, the time of his life. He's just so fucking buzzing. And then, like, just in, like, up in the wee kind of raftery bits of this boat, you just see Tarazaki just, like, really hating his life because he's so seasick. Like, it's a wee shame. But they're just, like, the camaraderie of, like, them together on this boat, and it's just adorable. If only it stayed that pure. Because obviously, this is Bungo Stray Dogs. We don't have that here. We're not allowed happiness. Oh, but yeah, so we move on, and then we get, like, the double spreads of our little boys, our Atsushi and Inatagawa, like, having a go at each other, because that's what they do, especially at this point in, like, what you call the relationship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, ship. And I love one of the parts, like, says it's like their eyes met, Atagawa's lips moved, moving the words, "I found you," right? So that's just, like, at the top here, right? And every time I read that now, all I think about is, like, Bungo Stray Dogs 1, like, see the English dub with that episode of Atagawa doing, I just said it like the English way because I'm thinking about the English dub. Anyway, Atagawa going doing Dazai shopping, and then he has to drop it off to Atsushi, and then he just goes up and goes, "I found you!" I have that just lives in my head like nobody's business. So every time I read that, that's all I think of.
I found you!
Like, how can I not? And then, moving on to the contents page, we have the characters that you've never ever met before, but they're very important to this story, including my love. I love them so much. H.G. Wells, I need them so badly to appear elsewhere. Like, I hate that these characters are just stuck in this book. I need them. Well, actually, maybe not him, but I need Wells. I need H.G. Wells so badly. Hoping one day they will return, but who knows. Now we go into the actual content. You know, the actual story. The reason why you're actually here. And, well, how this book is, like, organised, there's no chapters or anything like that. See, unlike Stormbringer, where you have, like, the kind of 4 acts and whatnot, this is just, like, one big-ass chunk. So I have broken it down into 3 little acts, because I feel like that is the kind of cleanest way to kind of digest this story. So, yeah, let's dive in, shall we? So, the story opens with, like, a killer line of, "Yokohama ceased to exist that day." Like, okay, here we go, this is how the story starts, great! And through that we get, like, a very intense description of, like, how Yokohama was wiped out and simply, like, nothing existed except from the clouds that are just casually passing by. And Asagiri, being Asagiri, like, decided to be, I'm just gonna be a wee dramatic bitch, with the closing statement of this, like, first kind of chunk of the opening, just going, "The first act in this tale of death and destruction began a mere 55 minutes ago." Like, sir, you're so fucking dramatic going into this story, like, you know for a fact they were loving this so much. Just like, yes, let me just be extra dramatic just to really hype up the tension. And with that, let's go into the first act. So, let's go back 55 minutes, shall we, before Yokohama is destroyed to smithereens. We join Atsushi, our lovely little boy, on board a ferry, having the time of his life, since he's, like, never been on, like, such a fast boat. And this boy, honestly, see, after reading this opening, he has the most, like, ironic thought going into this. It's like, it was such nice weather that one would have to assume something good was going to happen today. Oh boy, if only you knew. Right, so naturally, 2 seconds later, he gets moaned at by Kurikida. Joining him on this doomed, like, adventure to Standard Island, which is, like, this man-made island just off the coast of, like, Japan, is Yasuno, Kenji, and the Tanizaki, like, siblings. Dazai would have been there, but at the dock, he decided that he was just going to jump into the ocean and, like, swim to the destination, because why not? It's fucking Dazai, why would he not? So that's what we're dealing with here. This is the motley crew of going to this weird ass fucking island. So why are they there? Turns out they were hired to like apprehend a group of thieves and not a weapon that's going to destroy the island in Yokohama. Like, who knew? And the police can't do shit because, see, Standard Island, right? It was developed like by Germany, France, and England, like in equal parts. So it's basically like this independent land that like nobody can do anything to. But in reality, it's like a big ass fucking shit because it can move. So yeah, there's that thing. Basically, a place for all the rich people to go just to experience this weird ass island that can have all aspects of French, German, and English life. Because obviously, every part has been like designed to represent that country. As you do. Upon arrival, Kunekida dishes out like these wee silver coins to everybody, and they act as like a form of ID. And normal like visitors to the island are given copper ones, but due to the nature of their job, they're given silver ones so that they have like some higher permissions. And shortly afterwards, the ADA is greeted by Captain Walton. He is a 30-year-old who is very, very, very tired. Like, he just sighs, like, all the time. Honestly, it's kind of a mood, like, being, like, that age, so young, and just, like, I'm just so fucking done. He explains that they were hired to protect, like, an extremely valuable, like, this rare European white truffle from, like, these thieves. And naturally so, actually just goes, excuse me, why do you need so many of us highly skilled ability users for three little thieves trying to nick some truffle? Which then prompted Kunikita to ask, well, what was he hiding from us? Now, you could totally trust someone who responds with, me? Of course not! Like, sir, like, you conveniently stop sighing in this moment in your little mini panic of defending yourself. Like, yeah, and you're standing there saying there's nothing to be afraid of and we're not hiding anything from you? Press X for doubt. After that, they like settle into their hotel before they start like their investigation and whatnot. And Ashley sets out to go talk to the captain some more, in which Kudikiran will join him momentarily. After he gets moaned at for the fact that Ashley bought a fuck ton of games to the island in his suitcase, because that was literally all of it was filled with, was like games and food, because he'd never been really on a holiday, which was also a sin to think of given what's going to happen in the future. So he's walking down the streets and admiring like how this island is like built and whatnot, and he hears like a wee commotion like down the street, and like there's these guards that come up and like ask him if they've seen this guy, because somebody snuck onto the island and stolen something. And it's like, oh right, okay. And whilst those guards like panically run off trying to find this like mysterious person who's just like invaded the island, a voice calls out to Atchison, and he's looking around at like nobody there, but he just follows the voice, which then brings him to a bin. And out pops fucking Dazai. Dazai was in the fucking bin. And with that, he scares Ashley, because why would you expect someone to pop out of a bin? Also, what is with Dazai in bins? He has a problem. So it turns out our little stowaway has a separate mission from everyone else. Hence why he had to sneak onto the island, because in order to do his mission, he wasn't meant to be found. And nobody was meant to know that he was there. It's like, yes, Dazai, that's how that's going to work. And then the fact that you snuck onto a highly classified like island and whatnot, you've nicked something, and people are on the lookout for you. I don't think this is going the way you thought it was going to go. Oh, but anyway, so Dazai explains that there is a man in a suit with a camera hanging around his neck, and he warns actually like not to like take them down because the man in question is extremely dangerous. Hence why Dazai has been given a separate mission to like find more about him. Because if Ashishi was to try and take them down, well, let's just say they could potentially destroy Yokohama, which obviously like sets off the Ashishi being like, oh no, we can't have that. And just as they're like kind of wrapping up like their wee conversation, right? Dazai just casually goes, oh yeah, by the way, there's like some poor mafia people here as well. It's just like, okay. And with that, he goes back into the fucking bin and then rolls away, like down the hill and just like round the corner, actually just standing there like, how is Kurikida and then the rest of them used to this like bullshit? Like, they're just like, this is typical Dazai behaviour, and actually she's just like, how do they deal with it? Oh. So, with the news of the fact that there's some Port Mafia members on the island, we have a little cut to what would be 16 minutes before the whole pew situation. And, well, Atagawa and Higuchi arrive on the island, but they're not pursuing they're not pursuing the thieves that are going after the white truffle. They're actually pursuing some robbers that actually robbed their bank and killed one of their accountants. So, yeah, it's all going down in this island. Now, let's go back to Ashley. Shawei says, well, in fairness, they are the main character. So, Ashley is walking around and examining, like, the island when he comes across three rather suspicious looking people. And he just watches them. And, wow, they're stupid as fuck. Openly talking about how they're going to rob, like, this truffle. So it's like, yeah, that looks like the thieves, alright. So we have a bald, muscly man who calls himself the boss, a poor middle-aged man, like, who's so done with the world, and the spunkiest teen who, like, just constantly hypes up the boss. Like, a great trio. Like, they really are. And honestly, they're so ridiculous, it's kind of hard not to like them. Because they're just so stupid, but they have, like, so much heart. So they're just, even though, like, you're just, like, want to facepalm about, like, some of the stuff that they do, you just can't help but smile at them. Like, even, like, this wee quote, like, they're stressing out about, like, this job, right? And the middle-aged guy is such a mood. Like, how can you not, like, want to love these people? Like, when you have a quote like this saying, I know I'm turning 43 this year, but is it still okay for me to cry in public? Like, sir, you're a thief. And you're talking about crying in public. Outside the place you're going to rob. Like, how can you not love them when that is such a mood? So, naturally, because Ashi is doing his job of, like, trying to track down the thieves, he phones Kunikida and goes like, hey, by the way, like, I think I found the thieves. I like to say, I think I found them. Mate, they're literally talking about the plan out in the open. Anyone can hear their conversation. And he brings down the situation to Kunikida and, like, tails them. And when he, like, turns, like, a corner, where he's not that far away from him, turns round and there's, like, nobody there. Like, the three of them have just disappeared like that. And he's panicking, telling us to Kunikida. But then they find out that the boss, who is called Nemo, is an ability user that can go through walls and stuff that are less than 2 inches thick. And he can bring anyone with him if he's holding on to them. So, like, all three of them just, like, holding hands, like, yay, besties! And they can just go through a wall or a door or whatever it is, as long as it's, like, less than 2 inches. Same thing as, like, if something hits them with, like, less than 2 inches, he can just make it phase through him. Cool ability. So, until Kirakira can get there with, like, guards, Atsushi is given the task of, hey, like, distract them and, like, stall them for time so that when they get there, they can arrest them. And he accidentally, like, bumps into him because he's, like, running, like, a full speed. And, oh my god, see this interaction. It is so fucking stupid. It, like, makes me laugh out loud. But, like, it's so stupid. It's like, actually, what the fuck are you doing? But then it's also them. It's like, this, the four of them are just chaotically stupid. That's the best way to describe them, because Ashishi's bluff to bumping into them is like, oh, hey, you dropped something. I'm here to return it. Ashishi, you literally just saw them, because he says this. They, like, basically phase through, like, a fucking door. It's like, how? Like, there's no brain cells going through your, brain right now. What is wrong with you? Like, and the boss just kind of goes along with it, and he asks Atsushi, it's like, right, what exactly, like, did I drop? So, Atsushi, being Atsushi, just, like, really having no clue about how to deal with this and bluffing and whatnot, just goes like, you should know more than anyone else. And when all three of them, they all just, like, tilt their heads and they just go, huh? Like, it's just so stupid, but I love it, like... And the fact that just, like, Ashishi just keeps, like, digging a fucking hole for himself. Oh, luckily he doesn't need to, like, dig himself any further, because, like, fortunately in that moment, Kunikida does arrive with guards and whatnot. But at the same time, it's also unfortunate because Nemo escapes with his crew, like, and then just goes, yep, see ya. And, like, through their wee bickering, we find out that the guy that's so done with the world is called Virgo, and the wee spunky teen is called Gabe, who needs less sugar. Like, way too much energy. Way too much energy. Oh, so, because they got away, naturally the only way they could have escaped was through a door that was just by them. And they Ajushi and Kurikiga try and chase after them with the guards. And then they told that they can't actually go through this door because they're unauthorized. Because their silver coins basically do fuck all. They actually need gold coins because it's like a very highly secured area that only few people that actually have gold coins. Even the guards that are with them saying, yeah, we don't even have them. And, well, that doesn't do great for them. So they're like, actually, it's like, right, we'll phone the captain. The captain can get us in or give us permission to go in because the thieves are literally in that room right now. We have a job to do, right? So that they can continue, like, chasing them down. Now, not long afterwards, because, well, the phone just rings out. The captain ain't picking up. And the door just, like, opens suddenly. And these heavily cladded soldiers come out with guns, by the way, and then just instantly start threatening Kunikira and Ashley with, like, at gunpoint. Basically, hey, we're gonna, like, blow you the fuck up if you don't leave this room because you are not meant to be here. Now, one thing I love about 55 Minutes, like this novel, right? Kunikira shines so much. Like, he has, like, nice, good scenes, and I love it for him. Because, oh, he does not back down. Like, these guards are literally got a gun pointed at him, telling him to fuck off. And Kunikira is just going, we ain't moving. Like, we're not going anywhere because we have a job to do, and our job is to go into that room and get the thieves. Like, like, he even comes out with this belter. Like, he's just staring these guards, like, in the eye, and he just goes, this is my final warning as well. Move. We are detectives given orders to catch thieves. This island may have extraterritorial rights, but don't you dare think you can threaten civilians at gunpoint on my watch. Oh! Kurakura! Yes! Honestly, he is like this the whole fucking book, like for other little moments. Oh, I love him so much. And I'm so happy he gets these little moments to shine because it just shows you like how badass he is. Fucking love it. And I will not take any Kunakira slander. No. Like, how can you go against that? So, after that, the soldiers are like told to back down by this voice. And then enters this guy who calls himself the Colonel. And that is all that he goes by. He has no other name because that's the only thing he wants to be called. He's also from the French side, by the way. I don't know if that kind of made it a bit obvious, but yeah, he's from the French side. And he's just like, do you know what? I'm impressed by you. It's like, respect to Kurakira. It's like, damn right. So, but however, like, he reinforces to them, being like, yeah, despite, like, I appreciate, like, your guts and all that, boy, you're not getting in. I don't give a shit. I might just not shoot you, but, like, you ain't coming in. However, when Ashasi was chasing the thieves, he kind of, like, activated, like, parts of his tiger ability. So, his senses are very, very heightened at this point. And, well, he smells the scent of blood, which is never a good thing. So, he just, like, goes, well, fuck yous, I'm running into this room. Obviously, everyone else is now chasing. It's like, oh, you can't go in there. And, well, the issue of when he finds the body is of their client, the captain. You know, the person that's hired them to do their job. So, that's not great. And upon this discovery, because it's like, first of all, you weren't meant to be in this room, this is top secret information, and now you've just seen that our captain is dead. So, we really have to take you in. So, into a horse's cellar they go. And for some reason, they just go, right, even though we're technically keeping you hostage, let's watch the murder scene! Yay! We'll have you tied up in this horse's cellar and let's watch the captain's murder together. Let's get some popcorn. It's going to be fun. I don't understand that part, being honest, because if you're holding people in a horse's cell for being dodgy, why would you show them this highly classified information? I don't know, but it's just what happens. When they watch the footage, they see that the captain was murdered by, funnily enough, the person that does I mentioned, the man in the suit with a camera around his neck. And the colonel identified him as the terrorist known as the Forcier. Now, a little side note. It's really funny what Kunakira says next, because obviously, knowing what happens in the future of the series, it's just really funny how when Kurakira's talking about how he hasn't heard of them, because, and I quote, the idea of terrorism is nearly alien to our country. When he'll soon be branded as a terrorist himself down the line. Oh, Kurakira, if only you knew what was coming for you as well. Like, this is just so funny. So naturally, what happens is that the ADA get accused of being terrorists because there's no record of them coming to the island to begin with, or even being hired to begin with. And the only person who could have backed them up is now dead. So this is like this. They now have like 2 instances within their little lifespan of this mainline series of being accused of being terrorists. So this is like their wee warm up to deal with what actually happens. It's just so silly. Also, just like within like the little side notes that I keep making, see if they hadn't done season 4 and season 5 practically back to back within a year, like for the anime, they literally could have used this for a filler using 55 minutes if they made it like a movie or like a mini series, because how the ADA handles being branded as terrorists on this like little island still like fits nicely with obviously the arc of season 4 and 5, because they're, well, more global terrorists at that point, but it's still the same ways of how do they deal with the fact that they're falsely accused of being terrorists. It's not a good look for them, not gonna lie. So whilst all of that is now going down, because yay, Akutagawa and Hikaji are taking care of like their wee bank robbers and all that. They killed one of their accountants, and they catch up to them, and like the guys are like begging for their lives and whatnot, and they spill the beans about the terrorist weapon that was brought onto the island, which has the code name of Shell. But they were like, but everyone else, like, who really knows about it, calls it Annihilation. Sorry, I just can't take that seriously. But yeah, so that like weapon is meant to be hidden in like this black briefcase, and it's meant to look like a camera. Like, it's just inconspicuous, doesn't really look like anything, right? And with this information, Atagawa basically takes on the task of finding this weapon, because, well, it's not really good that it can be used to destroy Yokohama, because that means, like, that obviously affects the port mafia, and, well, he can't be having that. And he decides, you know what, even though, like, the robbers themselves really fucked up by killing one of their accountants, he's like, do you know what, see, because of this information, I'm going to be kind to you and give you a quick death. Oh, and then obviously just goes and like takes him out. But I love this like description of Atagawa like from one of the robbers, and it goes, "You're the black nightmare of the port mafia." Like, honestly, Atagawa just gets all these like fucking names, like the Hellhound of the port mafia and everything like that. Obviously, he calls himself Diablo at times. It's like, wow. Cutting back to our newly named terrorists as they realise, like, how fucked they are. They hear a sinister laugh in this, like, hostage cellar, right? And they're panning around the room, and actually she's just going, wait, but there's, like, nothing in there. There's no windows, like, whatnot. There's just, like, the chairs, the tables, and a bin. Once again, out pops Dazai to get a good smack of a kunikita. I swear, what is this man's obsession with bins? Also, how the fuck did he get the bin in that room? Because it's probably the same ass fucking bin that was outside that he's been stuck in. I don't get it. Dazai, what is wrong with you? Oh... So, he breaks the news to Kunikida that he's been tracking the man with the in the suit with the camera. And, well, he's came to their rescue because he couldn't get the gold coin to try and go after that man. So he's like, well, you're a wee bit in the shit, so I'm going to come help. Yay! And making himself useful, he sets free Atsushi and basically instructs him, was like, hey, this is how you're going to escape, and this is what you're going to do to continue the hunt for the man with the camera. So they basically just like hoist him into, well, I say hoist him. Atsushi technically jumps himself into the vent, but Dazai goes like, hey, why don't you jump on Kunikida's back to get up there? I just love the fact that like he just offers Kunikida like without even like it's nothing, just be like, oh, I won't help you, but you can use Kunikida's back. Yay! Oh, but anyway, so after getting out, even though he feels really guilty about getting out, because once he gets into the vent, obviously made a noise, clink, 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 clink. So then the guard comes in, sees the fact that actually she's gone, but now there's this mysterious other man And they have like a little throwdown. And actually obviously feeling a bit guilty, being like, right, should he go back and help them? Whilst Kurokida's going like, no bitch, go and do your fucking job. So Ashley heads towards the clock tower because Zaza explains like, hey, I have put like a fake briefcase up there to try and act as bait to get to this man. And, well, when he reaches it though, he sees that the man in a suit just whips out a gun and just shoots at the briefcase. And with like a whole round of bullets, like a whole bloody magazine of bullets. And like, this obviously like takes Ashley by surprise because like they were not expecting somebody just to shoot the thing. So that means he gets caught by the man in the suit. Like, and then they question him about why would they put Annihilation there? Like, why would they just leave it out in the open for anyone to take? And before like Ashley can respond, the island starts to shake. Oh no, this isn't good. Let's paint a picture, shall we? It is noon, the sky is turned red, and the real briefcase with Annihilation in it has been activated. And up in the clock tower, the terrorist, the man in the suit, is like chiming in the fact that they know how to stop the weapon, and they grab Ashley to try and save them. Now, after questioning like who they are, because obviously it's like, why would Ashley just randomly go with this man who he believes to be the terrorist, but this person is now claiming that they know how to stop the weapon that is now turned the sky red. So after questioning like who they are, the man like stops and peels at their face to reveal that the man in question was actually a woman. And they are called H.G. Wells. My love. From now on, we kind of go into some graphic detail of how powerful like this skill weapon is, as the instant destruction and evaporation of anyone or anything happens within seconds. Like buildings like deteriorate and people are just like turning to dust. Like this thing is horrid. Like the red shell of doom that like projected like all over the island obviously goes all the way over to Yokohama, and like from there we get like little mini POVs of both Mori and Fukuzawa as they watch their inevitable death just like approach them, and it's just like, we kind of fucked up there. Like that, like they're so calm about their deaths because basically Mori's just like, this doesn't look good, and then Fukuzawa was like, oh, we were late, weren't we? Why are you so chill? Like, there's this big looming doom coming towards you, and you're just like, it's just another Tuesday, ain't it? What is with these characters? And, like, even Kunikida, we even cut to Kunikida and Dazai, who somehow have managed to escape. Like, we even see, like, them meeting, like, their gruesome end in detail as they turn to dust. Like, it's just rude. And whilst all this is happening, Wells has taken Ashley to this like underground like bunker kind of thing that's in this forest nearby, as like the red shell just kind of looms in closer and closer and closer, and like it produces like this heat wave, so that itself is like starts like burning and like destroying anything before the actual impact. So the heat itself is already destroying and like ruining everything. And whilst they're going in this into this bunker in this forest, not that far away, like Atagawa is also there, but he is like fighting for his fucking life. Like, he gets one of the most gruesome descriptions of like how he dies in this whole situation. It's very unfortunate for him. And he is like using like Rashomon to like cut down like cutting like time and space kind of thing, so that the impact of it kind of like lessens, but it's not a permanent solution, because basically as soon as he creates a rift to try and protect himself, it just like kind of closes back up again, and then like his eyelashes have burnt off by this point because of the heat, and just everything's just starting to like crumble for him. And whilst this is happening, like, this man is clearly dying, like, as he just rots away. Like, this man is smiling as his body, like, bubbles and burns away. And this is his final moment. This is, like, the last thing that he kind of sees before, like, we cut away from him, right? And it says, Asakawa's body disappeared in the flames as he left nothing more than a smile, never to reach another soul. Sir, you need to stop smiling as you die, please. Like, I'm looking at you, chapter 88. Like, I've let it go, does I, for being a thing with bins. Asakawa, why do you have to smile when you die? We need to have a talk. Like, the only person who should really probably smile as they die is Dazai. We've established this. You're not Dazai. But anyway, let's go back to the bunker whilst everyone else is turning to dust outside. Wells uses her ability to, like, delay the blast, like, reaching inside. And through that, she explains to Ashley about how she originally created the weapon during the war because Hugo Goethe and Shakespeare, like, they're all, like, part of the Transcendence, which is where, like, Rembrandt was also part of, and Verlaine. Like, they all got into, like, a wee fight, like, into a wee hissy fight, which resulted in, like, so many casualties. So, in the time in England, like, she specialised as skill weaponry and was integrating skill singularities into them. So, she does the worst thing, and she brings out maths. Like, she brings out maths to explain singularities. So, obviously, our wee bye boy actually is just, like, can't handle this at all. This is just a terrible joke about how bi people can't do maths. So, here's a terrible breakdown about how this all works. So, singularities. They're created when two opposing abilities clash with each other and they cancel each other out, thus creating, like, a new, intensively new thing. Yes, fun games. So, in the case of Annihilation, it was an intense burst of, like, destructive energy. The Red Shell of Doom. And that was placed within, like, a talisman. However, normally it would only last for, like, a wee short amount and not have the means to be dangerous. But see, when you combine that with Wells' ability, yeah, well, the length of which the intense energy can be prolonged, meaning its destructive power will do, well, what we've just been witnessing. Since it has now time to inflict that damage, since the Wells' ability can elongate time. Not great when that burst of energy can actually do the destruction it's, like, possessing. And then Wells goes on to say how they're going to save everything, they're going to send Ashley back in time. Yay! Let's do that. That's the other way that she can use her ability. So, that means bringing the maths back out. Which is not good for our brains. So she's bringing out the maths again to explain how she can only send back Ashley's memories so that they can go back 55 minutes, rather than sending, like, the whole body, because that would only be, like, a couple, which is obviously very useless. So, using her skill, the time machine, the camera that she uses starts to go, like, brighter and brighter and brighter as the world around them just, like, begins to crumble in, because now, like, she can't stop time. She could just prolong it. So, like, the underground bunker is just now just slowly getting eaten up by the red shell. And, well, they all, like, melt away anyway. So, as he's getting, like, sucked into this, like, bright light where to the point, like, actually she can barely look at it, like, actually, like, sums up the ending of, like, this first act with everything disappeared out of sight even his consciousness ceased to exist. And with that, that is the end of the first act. Act 2. And with that, we are flung back 55 minutes before. Technically, again, if you include the prologue. But anyway, so Ashley just gets his memories flung back to the time where he's back in the boat with Kira Kira, because that's how it wakens him up. He's getting shouted at again. And Ashley having this internal crisis because he's now just been flooded with all these memories of what is going to happen in the future, and rightfully so, he doesn't know how to comprehend this information. Because, like, what the actual fuck just happened to him? Because now in his head, he literally just died. He just knows that his body technically died, and now he is standing on the boat 55 minutes before with Kurakira shouting at him to go to this fucking meeting about, like, what their job is. But he's just so, like, what the actual fuck is going on? Like, right now, in that moment on the boat, like, he is safe. Like, but literally moments ago for him, the red shell was destroying his body and everyone else he cared about. So, yeah, it's a little bit messed up. This poor boy, honestly, doesn't, like, catch a break. Like, he just gets trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma. Like, leave the poor boy alone, Asagiri. Let him have a chance to breathe. Oh, I genuinely, like, feel so bad for him. Like, he's torn in two about whether or not to tell the others of what's to come, because, like, he was told not to, but Elvis was like, right, you need to do, like, basically everything by yourself. Like, you can't tell anyone, because if anyone changes, like, what they were planning, what they initially did, like, that, it's kind of like the butterfly effect. Like, see if you, obviously, you step on a butterfly in the past, like, that could, like, that changes the whole, like, outcome of the rest of the world kind of thing. So it's that kind of line one. Because it's like, well, if this person doesn't do this thing, then perhaps the person who set off Annihilation could set it off earlier. It doesn't need to be noon. It could be earlier. So he is, like, poor Atsushi is, like, constantly, like, stopping himself from telling Kurakita in the meeting. Like, he's just, like, stumbling over him, and he's like, no, it's fine, because he's like, and he's like, oh, Kurakira, no, it's fine, it's nothing. At this point, Kurakira's just thinking, stop being an idiot. But towards the end, because he's not listening to the meeting, because obviously, first of all, he's already been there, done that, messed around and whatnot, he's got the t-shirt, but he's still trying to, like, internalise what actually just happened to him. So, at one point he slips up because Kurakira questions him, is like, hey, are you actually listening? And Ashley just repeats back everything that he says to him, because he's like, right, at this point he's talked about this. So it's like, right, the island is made up of X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 and they have a coin system, and there's bronze and silver and gold coins. Now, this is where he fucked up, because he said about the gold coins, Kurakira doesn't have a note about the gold coins. So this leads to, like, a wee funny moment for Kurakira, and I love it. So remember, like, earlier on had this lovely big badass quote from him? Yeah, how about this, like, stupid as fuck quote for him? Oh, Kurakira was slouching in his seat, drooping his head like an ear of rice. From the side, he looked burnt out, lifeless ash. There was something not written in my notebook that actually knew before me. My life is over. Just kill me. Kurakira moaned like a dying man, then flopped over in his seat. Also, can we just talk about the intentional wordplay? Like, he looked burnt out, lifeless ash. Asagiri, really? We literally had the description about how he literally turned to ash, and that he looks dying, he wants to die. Like, honestly, sir, can you not? Oh, but anyway, so once the ADA get onto the island and whatnot. Actually, like, questions Captain Walton, like, privately. Because he's like, right, do you have, like, a gold coin? And it turns out that the captain actually lost his, and he thinks it's stolen. And through that, he kind of rambles a little bit about how he, like, prays to the island guardian in hopes that he'll get his coin back. And it turns out that the island guardian is this legend that can freely, like, change the shape of the island and whatnot. But actually just kind of, like, lets it go. Because it's just like, oh, you're a little bit of a crazy man. Okay, you just sigh away. And back in the hotel, Kurakina is, like, very openly suspicious now of Atshushi, because he's like, yeah, you're, like, hiding something from me, because you're really not, like, covering up the trauma that you've just experienced very well. But Atshushi just goes, I can't explain, and then just runs away from him. So he tries to run away and, like, tries to find Wells. And then, like, stop the captain from getting murdered and whatnot. And, well, that doesn't work out. But Kurakitsuo, like, catches up to him and then, like, is like, right, I know something's wrong. Like, I know, like, my men at the ADA, and I know when something's up. So, clearly you're in a shit space. So it's like, right, you have info that you can't talk about, and Ashley says, like, yes. And it's like, you're not allowed to discuss it. And it's like, no. So Kurakita just goes like, right, I really, really don't want to say this, but you should go talk to him, because he's surely here somewhere. And it's like, wait, who? It's like, Dazai. Dazai has to be on this fucking island. Like, I just love the fact that Kurakita just knows, like, even though that Dazai left him to, like, jump into the fucking water to, like, infiltrate this island by himself, like, Kurakita just knows that that's what Dazai is going to do. So he is going to be in this island somewhere. I just love that. He just kind of gets Dazai to a point. It's just like, see, that's why they're good partners together. They're good work partners. So Ashley just goes, right, I know where to find him. Can you just come along with me? And they're just strolling up, right? And they stop suddenly, and, like, Kurakita's, like, confused, because then the guards come up and be like, right, have you seen this man? Like, he's infiltrated and he's stolen something, obviously, like, from before. And actually, like, without a beat, just goes, oh yeah, they went that way. So the guards go, oh, thanks, run immediately away. And Kurakita just is like, wait, did you actually see somebody? And actually just go like, shh, just, like, hushing him, and then tiptoes to the bin where Dazai is, opens it up and gives him a fucking fright. Like, actually just going, boo. And Dazai fucking shitting himself and, like, just, like, getting out the, like, falling over in the bin. Oh, it's so stupid. But, like, I love it. I just love the fact that, like, Ashley just took this moment, because he's like, he knew exactly where he was. He knew for the fact that Dazai was going to jump out at him if he didn't. So he was like, right, I'm going to get payback for him getting at me earlier on. So, boo! Oh, but then Dazai, being Dazai, couldn't let that go, could he? So, through the being shocked of, like, getting spooked and whatnot, he pretends to be fucking dead. Like, to the point where, like, his heart stops and he starts feeling cold. And the sick bastard that he is scares Ashley that way by just basically coming back to life. This bastard knows how to stop his heart. He's like, oh yes, it's like, oh, I showed you off my most special trick, the cardiac arrest. Honestly, what is wrong with this man? Well, there's a lot of things wrong with this man, but at least, technically, this skill does come in handy down the road. See, this is why it's very, very interesting. But this would have been very, like, prominent if it was placed in between the anime as seasons 4 and 5. because so many callbacks and so many like mirror and parallels and whatnot. Because obviously, Dazai being able to control his heart and stopping it and whatnot obviously comes in very handy when we're in, like, when he's in Murasol and obviously talks to Angle with his heartbeats. Like, this man, honestly. But anyway, back to the story. With that, Atsushi tells Dazai and Kurikida, like, everything. Like, the whole shebang, like, the whole, like, boom, 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 everyone dies thing. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the island, Asako and Hikachi arrive again, but turns out it's not just Atsushi who had his memories sent back in time. Oh, no. Asako also got some memories sent back, because turns out, whilst he was dying in the forest, he actually got to the bunker. So he actually got to witness Atsushi and the ability getting used. However, Asako not knowing, like, the details and whatnot, because he kind of went deaf as part of the whole burning situation, so he couldn't actually hear anything that was going on. All that he could do was see that the fact that Atsushi was there was a camera that was using a light, and, well, shit was going down. So from the knowledge that he knew of this briefcase and the camera and destruction, he was like, Atsushi's the fucking terrorist that's done all this shit. Yeah, so I talk about just being him. He's like so fucking dramatic. He's like a wee dramatic bitch this whole fucking story, right? But like he just have some fucking belters of wee moments, right? And he like tells Hikachi like the new plan, and is like on how he's gonna like get Atsushi and how he's gonna kill him and whatnot. And he's like, just you wait, man tiger. I'll make you rue what you've done as I pull out your entrails and slice through your flesh. The flames of hell will not be burning this island but incinerating your innards. Like, that's like, really? He's saying this out loud. Like, it's not even like an inner monologue. He is saying this out loud for Hikachi to fucking listen to. And the worst part is, he just gets worse. Later down the line, spoilers, he gets even more dramatic. I love him, but he's just so extra. But anyway, let's go back to Atsushi and whatnot, shall we? So, we have Atsushi trying to initiate this plan, and he's got Dazai in his ear. And also technically Kurikida, because Kurikida's like screaming at fucking Dazai. So technically he's got the two of them in his ear. Because Dazai's making stupid jokes and whatnot. And he's instructing him in like what to do for the plan. So Atsushi making his way to befriend like the misfit thieving trio by masquerading as a thief himself by the name of Masaburo. So he gains their trust and like uses that to try and gain access to the 5th floor basement, which is where the briefcase with Annihilation is getting stored, or it's meant to be stored. That's where they believe it's being stored. And through the earpiece, Dazai tells Atsushi that the truffles that the thieves are looking for are actually on the 4th floor of the basement, so he should be able to continue down when they get to that point. And well, how does Dazai get this information? Well, let's just say he had a lovely little chat with the captain. He totally wasn't torturing him with pudding, of all things. That poor man is definitely like traumatized by pudding now. He will never be able to look at it the same way from the way that he was talking. Imagine being tortured by pudding. Jesus. Also, the fact is, like, Kurikida just can't handle the fact that this is how Dazai's getting this information. He's just like, you absolute monster. How dare you tarnish pudding like this? Oh, so making through, like, the layers, Atsushi senses, like, some soldiers approaching. So he urges, like, Gabe to get, like, the other two out so that they don't get caught. And initially, Atsushi takes on the two soldiers alone. until Gabe comes back to aid him. And it was just like, oh, yay! Because at this point, like, Gabe's just kind of, like, suspicious. And it's just like, are you really a thief? Kind of thing. Like, naturally suspicious. As really you should be, because, like, somebody shouldn't just magically appear and be like, hey, I want to join your crew. And then the boss just goes, yeah, let's do that. But, yeah, so whilst that's all going down, Hikichi is gaining information for Atagawa by the way that she gets this information is impressive, because she's just like, oh yeah, I just got the guards like drunk on sake, so they're now passed out because they're just that wasted. And Atagawa's just like, I'm impressed, which makes her very happy, which is like a wee shame, but I'm like, oh, bless her soul, because she's like, I got complimented, I got praised. It's like, oh, hen, really? But yeah, so whilst they're all gaining information to try and catch up with Atchison and whatnot, now that like the two guards are down with the power of friendship of the thieves, like they're all back together now, and they hit a point where Virgo is now like on a computer to try and open up the vault for the 4th floor, and Atchison kind of takes this moment just kind of looking around. And because like they're in the 4th like basement floor kind of thing, like they're underwater now, and there's like these big ass windows, so you could just like look out, see the sea and like the ocean and whatnot, and see like the fish and whatnot just going by. And he has like a wee kind of 1-to-1 with Gabe, and they kind of like have a wee bonding moment. And as she learns that Gabe is like very similar to himself. But as they're getting into like the deep like conversation, they're rudely like interrupted by a figure in the water. Now I like love this moment for the sheer panic of actually seeing Atagawa swim so furiously at him, and is still a dramatic wee bitch. Like I said at the very beginning with the whole double spread, this is the quote from that. So he's like, their eyes met, its lips moved, mouthing the words, I found you. Like, in the water. This is how I'm saying that, like, I think it was just like a wee dramatic bitch. He is this dramatic in the water as he approaches Ashishi at like a ferocious speed. Like, how can you not laugh at that? Especially, like, even worse when you're rereading this and you have, like, that little one voice and just go, like,
I found you!
How can you not laugh at that? Like, I'm sorry. Especially if you imagine him saying that with the one voice again. Which I did when I reread this. Like, what's brilliant about this moment of Atagawa breaking in is that the ADA had to come up with this like highly layered out plan using someone else's ability to get them into this highly like secure area. Atagawa just fucking swam in the water and broke the glass. Like, because who would think that given how deep they are in the water that somebody would do that? Like, I love it. It's just fucking stupid, but it's brilliant. Now, imagine that animated. Just seeing Ashishi panicking, and then you just see fucking Atagawa just diving in. Especially because you could have like the really ominous music of his figure just coming in. Especially doing the mouthing of I found you. Like, it would be so stupid. But I love it. Now that Atagawa is broken in, they have like a wee intensive little fight, because, well, he's very determined to get Atsushi, as you know what he's like when he's very like focused on something. Yeah, he's going to destroy that shit. So Atsushi is trying to flee because he knows like the odds are stacked against him, because confined space with Atagawa's ability, yeah, it's not really the best situation for him. And like, shout out to this wee quote from Atagawa, like, as he threatens Atsushi's life, like, Because actually she's like, do you hate me like that much? So Attack just goes, it isn't hate. I cannot move forward until I tear you apart. Like, that's the mindset that you should have when you want to conquer something. It's just like, do you know what? I don't actually hate you. I just cannot move forward until you're fucking done. Mid-fight, Ashi is dragged through a door by the boss, like saving him like momentarily. And here, like, Ashi tells Nemo like his real name, because yeah, the boss had like sorry for him. He's like, yeah, you're not a thief and whatnot. So yeah, I can see through all your lies. And he's like, right, you survived this. We can have a catch up and you can tell me all about it, but why you did what you have had to do. And it's like, right, done. Because it's like, right, don't worry about us. We're just going to like camp in this like wee room until everything's all kind of done and settled. We'll go get our things. All tickety-boo. Sorted. So he's like, right, you go do what you need to do on the 5th floor. It should be okay for you to go. And at this point, it's now 1:45, so it's like 1:45. And he's like so close to getting to the briefcase, but he gets to the 5th floor and then he comes to a standstill because as he tries to approach the door, he ends up having to hide because the colonel and his men are doing like a kind of patrol kind of thing. So he hides from them and then sneaks by them as they kind of go out to a different place. And he finds out that the door to get to like the actual basement where things are stored is locked. And it's like, great, that's not what I need. So he's standing there thinking like, what do I do? Like, pretty stumped and whatnot, because it's like, how can I move forward? How can I get to the briefcase? Because it's 1:45. I only have 15 minutes left. This isn't great. Suddenly the door just opens. And then all the other doors leading up to it also unlock. It's like, okay. So from that, he actually gets the briefcase, which is just sitting out. Not suspicious at all. But anyway, grabs the briefcase, takes it out, because then, assuming that the only reason he got there was because Dazai was helping him, or basically they were using Katai. Like, shout out to the best hermit, and using his ability to obviously tweak with the electronics to open all the doors. Handy landy. And whilst he's like retreating with the briefcase, Ashishi is ambushed by the colonel, and it's like, fuck. And obviously being like, right, you're not meant to be here, what you fucking doing here? Ashishi then starts like, right, actually, do you know what? I don't care, like, just take the briefcase, protect it with like all your might and whatnot, like, we can't have what's going on. Like, just protect it, somebody's after it, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, aren't you not the terrorist? Though? He's like, no, I'm here to stop it. Like, somebody wants to use this, X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay. And then, as Ashishi's thinking through things, it clicks in his head. And he's like, wait, some of the things that the colonel said didn't add up. Which then meant that the person who actually wanted to use Annihilation was the colonel. Because how did the colonel know that, first of all, the briefcase was on the 5th floor, and like when it was getting used and whatnot, and the intentions behind it? Interesting. And then the colonel realises, as they look towards each other, but like, oh fuck, Ashishi's worked this out. So, naturally, when you get caught, the colonel just kills all his men. No, because the colonel initially goes like, right, he instructs his men to put their guns down, right? And then Ashishi's just like, no, do not put down your guns, because at this moment, obviously, he knows what he's about to do. And he's like, no, don't put your guns down. Obviously, the soldiers are going to listen to their colonel, because that's their boss. And they're just thinking, like, this boy is just fucking nuts. So, obviously, when they put down their guns, they can't retaliate against the guy who's just going pew, 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 and kills them all. Yeah. And now, because Ashley's been ambushed and whatnot, he's on the ground and whatnot, and he's hurt, the colonel goes for the briefcase. And, well, because Ashley's already hurt, he's like, well, I'm going to end your suffering. And shoots him in the neck. Yeah, well, joke's on you, mate. Ashley can regenerate, so he's gonna feel that pain like a bitch. But yeah, he's back. Don't you worry. And goes after the Colonel, who's like, wait, what the fuck? But anyway, let's get into the section of how many ways can this man try to hurt Ashley? Is it using a whole magazine gun against him? Is it like having a shutter like crash into him and crush his leg like absolutely horrendously? Is it like his tragic backstory if it links back all the way to Mimic and how he was a soldier that was set up to become a war criminal by his own country? Nah, Ashley does more damage to himself by trying to rip off his leg from said crushed shutter. Yeah. Because, well, Ashley just really needs to, like, stop this guy. So he's just like, I'm just going to rip off my leg. I just can't be stuck on this any longer. Oh, like, I just love the fact that this man just like, do you know what? I'm going to take this wee short moment to tell you my tragic backstory. And actually she's just like, yeah, not good enough. You still want to use this. I need to defeat you. So anyway, unfortunately, Ashley is still very stuck in the shutter. So the Colonel opens up the briefcase because he's still obviously got it. He gets in his hand. And they're not met with a camera. Instead, a gas that knocks them out. And just before Ashley completely collapses, he hears Dazai say that, well, he's glad that he came up with a backup plan. Because obviously, Dazai would come up with a plan of, yeah, let's just put, like, knockout gas in the briefcase instead. Yay. Which then also gets to the point of, how did he manage that? Like, he gets a bin within a room, he can make up own, like, fake briefcase in a secured area. How does he do this? When does he have the time? I do not understand. But that's Dazai for you. Ashley then wakes up in the hotel and Kurakira just kind of breaks it all down to him saying, yeah, everything went accordingly to Dazai's plan, including the fake briefcase and reactivating the cameras that were turned off by the thieves and whatnot to lure the Colonel into the trap. He was told that the Colonel like confessed to like everything, like saying that he was going to use it at noon and whatnot, and the thieves unfortunately got caught as well and are in holding. So when Kira goes to meet up with Dazai and the captain to go get like the actual weapon from like the fifth floor what to take away, Ashley decides he's going to have a wee trip to the holding cell and see the thieves. Why not? Just make sure they're all right. However, a happy reunion was not on the cards when he arrives. Because he finds Virgo dead in the holding cell. And although Gabe and Nemo are like not in the room, their fate doesn't exactly look as promising, given the fact what happened to Virgo. At the moment, Kurakira phones to alert him that the weapon has went missing and the Colonel is dead himself. And, well, his severed hand was found at the scene on the fifth floor. So, yeah, shit's about to go down again. They thought it was over. It was not. So, whilst Dazai and Kurakira look in the underground levels for the culprit, Ashley is tasked to look on the surface, and even says, right, I don't care if you have to beat up every suspicious person you run into. Like, I am loving this energy, Kurakira. Like, mwah. We're having good Kurakira moments again. I love it. Oh, so realising that the most likely person to have done this is Wells, like herself, Ashley tries to go and find her. But upon getting to like the surface and whatnot, he sees that Gabe is lying in a pool of blood. Yeah, and the boss, kind of like very deed behind him, like kind of falling over and not in a good spot, really. And, Ashley gets Gabe in his arms, and as they're having a moment, Gabe dies in his arms. And as Ashley gazes up to the clock tower to see what the time is, he spots Wells on the way up and makes a beeline for her. Now, at the bottom of the clock tower is Dazai, and like they go like, right, we'll head up together and we'll catch them off and whatnot. So they go up in the lift, but they get off at like the level before, and then they go up quietly. However, upon reaching her, they find her dead in a chair with her own knife stabbed through her chest. Things are not looking good because nothing is making sense. And at this point, Dazai has realised that there wasn't a third party involved in trying to steal the weapon. And as he tries to explain, he is cut short by a blade piercing through his chest from behind. Yeah. Also, but look at like how stunning like this manga page of it is of him getting stabbed. Like, it's beautiful. Even though it's a very unfortunate scene in the fact that Dazai is like very stabbed and not in the best situation. But look at the shock in his face. Like, mwah, Harakawa, I love you. You're popping off with this artwork. Ooh, nice. But who done it? Dun dun dun. That was Gabe. Yeah, Gabe faked his own death earlier on. Like, what a terrific actor. Oscar to him. And as Ashley, obviously, tries to save Dazai, he tells him not to fight Gabe because, well, Gabe isn't a natural person. He's an ability skill. But at this point, Ashley's not really listening to him anyway and goes for it anyway. Only for his attacks to be blocked by like these giant arms coming out of the ground that kind of look like they made out of clay. Yeah, rock hands. Woo! So it turns out that like Gabe is in fact like the protector and the destroyer of the island, and that his real name is Jules Gabriel Verne, who has the ability called the Mysterious Island. The mysterious island that they're on right now. And with that, Gabe just goes, see ya, and then just like sinks into the ground and disappears. Like, he likes a wee dramatic, like, he likes to be a wee dramatic bitch as well, like having this dramatic exit, just like, I'm just gonna sink into the ground, bye. Oh. So, after she phones up Kurikira being like, hey, by the way, Dazai's dying, he's about to be dead any moment. And he finds out that Kurikira's in a wee bit of a shit as well because now he's in a battle outside with the clay hands. I'm just going to call them clay hands. It's a wee bit easier and whatnot. So he's now fighting them because now they're attacking the island. Because Gabe is just having a hissy fit. And as they talk, Dazai's heart stops and Kurikira's like, right, we must prepare for the emergency procedures that Dazai fucking hates. Because we need to, like, save his life, whether he likes it or not. And panicking, naturally, about how Ashley can, like, bring Dazai back to life within, like, the 2-minute span that he's got left, and also defeat Gabe at the same time. Wells just suddenly appears behind him to help. It's like, yeah, you thought I was dying? Nah, I've been using my ability to prolong my death as well. Yay! Because why not? So Wells offers up the solution of, right, she'll be able to prolong Dazai's death by like 20 minutes for her ability, and because his heart is stopped, it means like his ability won't nullify hers, hence why it will work. So this is how they will also be able to use Yoshino's ability to heal by resurrecting him and then bring. So basically, they're resurrecting him from being dead to just being on the brink of dead, so that she can then use the ability. But the window period is like 0.5 seconds. It's a very precise amount of time to just magically get this ability to work on Dazai, who just doesn't like abilities. So, the only thing left to do now is kick Gabe's arse and go get Yoshino all within under 20 minutes. That's doable, right? End of Act 2. With millions of lives on the line, we now enter our final act of this story, and thus the climactic ending. We now follow Gabe as he walks with Annihilation in hand and just bumps into Atagawa, who just like emerges like this ghastly shadow. Oh. Upon realising it's like, right, you have the thing that I'm meant to have, because I really don't like this Annihilation thing. Atagawa like initiates a fight because obviously that's what he does. But he finds out rather quickly that Gabe is not any ordinary enemy. After breaking through Gabe's defensive, like, clay hands, he thinks he's won as Rashomon, like, tears Gabe apart. However, that's not actually what happens. Instead, Aku's little beasties just, like, phase right through him instead of tearing him into pieces. And Gabe's just, like, loving this. Like, he's just not taking this fight seriously. So remember how I was like saying earlier on with the boss's ability about how like if things were less than like 2 inches thick, like he can just like phase through them, or if they were 2 inches or less, but they would just he can make them phase through him. Yeah, that happens. So, but like I was saying, like Gabe is just like not taking this seriously, like in the slightest, and he even comments Atagawa just being like, man, it's even creepier up close. You ever make kids cry with these? Talking about Atagawa's abilities, like his wee little demons, like wee Rashomon demons. That's why it's just fun to call them that, wee beasties. I love it, like in the story they call them like wee beasts because obviously they just like gnaw and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, that's cute. Obviously they don't say wee beasties. I just say wee beasties because obviously I'm Scottish. It's what we do. But I just love it. It's just like Gabe is just mocking like Atagawa just like to his fucking face. It's just like, hi, you wee beasties can't do anything to me. Tee-hee. So now like Gabe like messes with the ground and like Atagawa now starts to fucking sink into the ground like it's quicksand. But obviously he can still like attack with Rashomon, right? And I love the thought of only seeing like Atagawa's head in the ground. Like aesthetically, like he still has like part of his torso up, right? But I just think it's funny, like imagine him just the head in the ground, right? And he's looking so calm as he continues to fight on, right? So stoic, like calm Atagawa, right? Attacking from the fucking ground. I just think it's quite funny. But yeah. So he's sinking into the ground. And actually gets spotted, which then like distracts like Atagawa. And it's like, oh yeah, that's not great, because then that leads to Gabe like getting a good hit on Atagawa. And then through that, as he's like within this battle, Gabe like erects like these massive ass fucking walls to like trap Atsushi, preventing him to like get to Yoshino. And even though like Atsushi could technically climb them, like that itself is not the issue. It's just that they're so fucking high that he has no way to defend himself as he's climbing them. So obviously with Gabe doing everything that he can to prevent like Atsushi get to Yoshino, it's a bitch. And he's just basically delaying like the inevitable. So he's just like delaying Atsushi from like getting to where he needs to go to obviously help save Dazai, because Gabe's just like, I'll just burn through this time because soon enough Wells and Dazai will just die, so I can then just carry on with what I do. Sorted. But let's just play the waiting game, and I'm just going to play about with yous and just ruin yous. So with that, Ashley just like declares like, right, I'm just gonna have to fight you then, because if I can't get to Yosono, that means I can't save Dazai, and that's not allowed. So let's go. And because obviously he stated out loud, like saying like he has to save Dazai, that triggers a tag war, right? Because it's like, wait, what? What is going on? What is happening to Dazai? So then obviously they have a little tiff, because at this point in the story, it's actually saying Tagwa. They don't exactly get on. Not that they ever really get on, but they're a wee bit better down the line. But they haven't had that wee bonding moment just yet. So, so at this point, they're still at each other's throats and having a go at each other, right? So this leads to Gabe complaining that he's the third wheel. Oh, I love it. So, although that happens, right, this leads to Gabe like focusing his attacks like on Atsushi. So this ends up with Atsushi getting an absolute like fucking beating. Because yeah, Gabe is just that whole thing of itself. And that eventually leads to Atsushi now falling to the ground and then sinking into the ground completely. Now, Atsushi is not a goner, like, not in the slightest, because, well, he kind of, like, slips into a dream, and in this dream, he sees, like, this lonely boy on this island. There's, like, nothing else. It's just a boy on an island, and Atsushi can just sense how lonely, like, he is and whatnot, but when he tries to focus, like, looking at him, he just can't see him properly, if that makes sense. He's then brought out of the dream by a young man who claims that he is the guardian of the island, Jules Gabriel Verne. So, rightfully so, like, Ashley is very confused, for the man wasn't the young spunky Gabe who he was just fighting. However, like, looking at him a bit closer, Ashley realises that this is an actually older version of Gabe. And this version of Verne tells Ashley that he is trapped into this little kind of void in the ground until like he says otherwise. And Ashley's like, who's he? And it's like, Gabe. Until Gabe decides that he wants to bring him back up. And he says that him and Gabe are not one and the same. For Gabe is not human in the slightest, because he is, like, a skill. Verne then proceeds to show Atsushi the memories of the island in hopes that he can learn from it to then do better, essentially. So thus we go back into the dream that tells the story of how Jules Gabriel Verne became a part of the Seven Traitors. The group thought that Verne got involved to end the war, to avenge his parents who died during the war, because the Seven Traitors were the ones that kind of ended up. But what Verne wanted to do was, all he wanted to do was to help out the group themselves. Like, it wasn't for his parents, it was for them, because he just wanted to be involved for the group that brought him in and, like, didn't make him feel so alone. And it's a feeling that mirrors how Atsushi feels with his own relationship with the ADA, because it's just like the lovely parallel of how they're similar. Just kind of how, like, earlier on, whilst Atsushi and Gabe were talking to each other at the windows and underground in the water, and seeing the similarities for how their, like, wills and whatnot to carry on and to fight were kind of similar and whatnot, until they also found somebody that was, like, a mentor for them to, like, inspire them to go on and do better, X, Y, and Z. The way in which the Seven Traitors, like, ended the war, well, plus Verne, because he helped them out, obviously, was basically to, like, kidnap all of the leaders of the, like, the conflicting countries, and then, like, bring them to Standard Island, i.e. Verne's ability, and then, like, force them to, like, sign a peace treaty by, like, any means necessary, like bribing, like torture, like brainwashing, like basically anything to like get all these leaders to like go, hey, we're going to sign a peace treaty, you're going to end this fucking war if it didn't need to be like around to begin with. And like this led to like militaries getting involved, like trying like invading to try and get like their leaders back, but they were like unable to fight Vern like on his own ground. Like that's just stupid. Well, obviously they didn't know what they were going into, but with obviously us knowing how Vern works, yeah. So as the people died, Vern then like absorbed their abilities, which then made him stronger. So the more people came, the stronger Vern got to then be like, yeah, I'm practically like unstoppable on this island. Because it only works on the island. That's the thing, like he can use all these multiple abilities as long as it's on the island, because that's where he absorbed the abilities. Once the peace treaty was signed and anyone who tried to reignite the war was taken out, Vern found themselves like alone again, because some of the traitors died during the conflicts and whatnot, and then the others just like disappeared. However, Vern stayed on the island in hopes that he would be able to reunite with his friends once again if they needed to use the island. So then he just became the guardian of the island. Now, 14 years just passed by, like no issues, no conflicts, all tickety-boo. Until one day, the weapon Annihilation is brought onto the island. And Vern makes contact with Wells, who has came to, like, stop the weapon. So, in order to keep Vern's ability hidden, because he's just kind of, like, scoping out the island and whatnot, and there's, like, nobody obviously knows technically who he is, because at this point, like, buildings are erected, all these countries are now operating on the island and whatnot. So, he is just a legend. Like, he is the guardian of the island, he is just a legend. So, in order to keep his ability, like, hidden and whatnot, obviously, due to the fact that it's linked to war crimes, because technically what he got involved with was a war crime. Funnily enough, to end the war, but yeah, they had to kind of commit some awful things to get that to end. But anyway, so he takes on the role of Gabe, a tourist who then befriends the thieves by appearing as a teenager due to absorbing an ability to manipulate age and appearance. Very Terrico coded, which is interesting that there was somebody that had a similar ability. So, very interesting. But anyway, unfortunately, no Vern was able to take down the Colonel. Wells gets shot in a stone on the island. And devastated that he couldn't, like, protect one person on his island, Vern absorbs her ability and then goes back in time to save her. However, something else went wrong with this second run, and he discovered that he could absorb Wells' ability over and over and over and over and over again, meaning that Vern could continuously send himself back in time, resulting in the island being in a time loop. As Vern, like, obsessed about having, like, the perfect outcome. But due to, like, persistently going back in time, Vern, like, slowly increased the ability's strength by being able to go back, like, hours and days instead of just, like, the 55 minutes that Wells can do from just, like, overusing it. So he is, like, constantly going over and over and over and over and over and over and going, because it's just, like, slowly increasing, because it was, like, first it was 55 minutes, then it was 56 minutes, and to the point he got to, like, 33 hours at one point that he could go back in time and just go phew, 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 phew. And he thought to himself, if he kept going further back in time, would he be able to be reunited with his friends? If he went even further back, would he be able to stop the war itself from ever happening? Now, that is bad thinking, because, yeah, with that mind frame, obviously, consistently going back in time and whatnot, through time, the island's ability, like, stripped Vern of, like, his personality and his humanity, which then led to the creation of the 11 ability, Gabe. And like his creator, Gabe would continue to go back in time, constantly back and back, for if Vern stopped doing so, Gabe would like cease to exist. Like Gabe would not exist if Vern didn't continue going back in time. So because Vern was basically now semi-gone, Gabe had to continue on going back in time because this terrified him that this newly born ability that had its own conscience now could cease to exist by simply not going back in time. And although the Gabe came from Vern, like the two motives for going back in time were like completely different. The Guardian of the Island Vern wanted to save everyone. Gabe, on the other hand, didn't care whether people died. So it's interesting in the fact that even though like Gabe came from Vern, through like though obviously that skill was part of his personality and whatnot, they don't end up being the same. So it's kind of like the whole singularities things of here's the conflicts, boom, here I create something new. This is the something new. However, in one of the time loops, word spreads to the Special Division of Unusual Powers that there is a weapon on the island, which then promptly sends the ADA to investigate, thus bringing the biggest threat to Gabe, Dazai. His natural enemy, for if he were to touch his flesh, well, he would be a goner. And, well, Gabe couldn't have that, could he? He also wouldn't be able to use his ability to like absorb Will's ability if he was still alive on the island, making it impossible for him to like continue going back in time to preserve himself. Now, with this knowledge, Atsui is awoken from the dream to find himself stuck in a pillar. But he's not alone. Atagawa also has his own little pillar, keeping him company. Once again, the two have a wee go at each other, like they normally do. But Atsui eventually sucks it up and asks for Atagawa's help in order to save Dazai. It may not be the help that he wanted at that precise moment, but he got it anyway as Atagawa like pierces him like with Rashomon like through the fucking pillars and whatnot, causing him to shift into his tiger form, powered by fierce determination. Now, the tiger, being the OP that he is, breaks free from the pillar and like promptly attacks Gabe, who is caught by surprise at the sheer strength of this tiger. Because like at this point, the pillars, like despite if like Atagawa like destroyed them, they basically just like rebuilt themselves like that instantly like around them, so you could free yourself as like you had, well, he had done previously when he was attacking like the clay hands and whatnot. I should say in tiger form like goes in for the attack, like gets at Gabe like and like bites into him and whatnot, and then like the tiger just like starts to like destroy him. Like the tiger then like landed on the ground with Gabe still in his mouth. He shook his head. The sound of flesh being torn, tendons being snapped, and joints being pulled apart followed. Like, ouch! Like, they don't really hide, like, how gruesome this could be. Like, they're just like, yes, let's just have people turn to dust, let's have their skin melt, let's have, like, bubbles, and let's have tendons being snapped and whatnot. It's like, ouch. Ugh. But yeah, so after that, like Gabe ends up like in a very bloodied state, like missing like all these body parts. Because naturally, if he were a normal person that this tiger had just like mauled to bits, like they would be very dead. But Gabe is just of something else. Like he's a freak. But yeah, so after being like practically dismembered from the tiger, Atsui turns back to his human form, rather drained of energy because the tiger takes up a lot of energy. And he tries to get to Gabe and, like, tries to get him to, like, back down or, like, give up. No, because this Gabe is obsessed with living. So, driven by his desire to live, like, forever, Gabe uses his ability to create a new body for himself. But not with, like, the parts that he already had. Oh, no. He's going to use, like, mechanical parts. And he's going to, like, tear off any body part that he has left and replace them with machinery, because he can manipulate anything that's on this island. So he can move the buildings, he can move the ground, which means he can just bring up random machinery that is, like, stored underground to make this, like, island work. So, yeah, he now is even freakier looking. Although, stunning in the manga panel, because, like, this boy just does not want to die, and kind of got to give it to him, being honest. But the sheer desperation in creating, like, this monstrosity of, like, a body, because now he's no longer humanoid in the slightest. Like, the only thing he's got left is his head and his heart. That is the only thing that is left. Everything else is just machinery. So the thing continues as Ashley and Atagawa go against now this very, very desperate Gabe. But now with the mechanical body, like, Gabe is now, like, weakened and very slow. Well, he's slower, which then opens up a pathway for Ashley to, like, defeat him. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, you think it's going to be, like, big boss, and it's like, nah, the new body is just like, boom, ruined. And just as he hits the final blow, Ashley hears the young voice say, I owe you one. And then upon hitting the ground, Ashley just conks out himself. He just goes, poof. And with that, he wakes up to Kunikida. Once again, Kunikida seems to be, like, the main person that wakes him up. But anyway, so Kunikida wakes him up again and explains that Kenji and Tanizaki are taking Yasuno to Dazai and Wells, like, in the wee bunker, because Ashley was able to get them there. Knowing that Wells and Dazai are going to be okay, Ashley asks Kunikida if Atagawa's okay, and Kunikida's just like, yeah, I didn't know he was here, so I have no fucking clue. Yeah, literally, Atagawa just went, boop, I'm out. It's like, you're passed out, you're dead, I'm just gonna head out. See ya. Which then prompted, like, asking about Gabe. And Ashley just tells him, is like, he's gone now. Like, back into the darkness from which he came. And that's when they get a call from the captain saying that the island's wharf has, like, exploded. So now the island is going to sink in approximately, like, 8 minutes. Because Gabe had it set up so that if he dies, the island would destroy itself. Honestly, they don't catch a break. Like, things just never end. You think, oh, it's over now. Nope. Oh, this is now over. Nope. Things just keep getting worse and worse and worse. Like, why? Oh, and, like, trying to come to the terms of, like, the impossible task of what they have in front of them of, right, we now have to, like, save everyone that's on the island in under 8 minutes. But as they're, like, trying to figure out how the fuck did he do that, an aircraft appears. And they find that Rampo's on it, just like, hey guys, I just borrowed this from, like, the special division for this rescue mission. Woohoo! And he tells him that, like, Dazai got in contact with him, and he just went, do you know what? I kind of figured that, see, knew you would, like, be in the shit, so I got this aircraft, and I've got, like, the Coast Guard coming with a rescue boat, so everyone will be saved. Yay! So the aircraft lads, Rampo's there, just like, hey guys, and Kyoko comes out and just runs to Ashley because she was worried for him. With that, he gets teased by the freshly resurrected Dazai, who then complains that they wouldn't let him die. No! Kunikida, we're bringing him back. doesn't take that completely lightly. And he starts beating the living shit out of him and then just screams at him. It's like, the hell you talking about? Finally able to die. You're no longer human. You don't deserve that, right? If you really want to die that much, I'll kill you myself. Yay! I know I have so many Kunikino quotes in this, but I just like love them in this book. It's just so good. It's just all the while he's just beating the living daylights out of Dazai. Everyone's just watching him and just like, yeah, we're not getting involved with that. Everyone's just looking at each other, doesn't it? Let's just let them do their own thing. Oh. So now we're at the aftermath of the events of Standard Island. We join the ADA back in their office and they're all complaining about how fucking hot it is in the office because their AC broke. And it's like the peak of summer. And they all try to find ways to like cool down and whatnot. And Kunikida moans at Dazai to be like, right, can you like finish this report please? Like, come on. Chop chop. Like, the special division is like really kicking our arse about getting this report. And actually sees that in like an aftermath report, he sees that the briefcase with like the real annihilation and whatnot was like very much destroyed. Dazai goes on to say that he believes it was like destroyed just after noon, so Gabe had no intention of using it himself and destroyed it so that no one else would get their hands on it, like especially like the ADA and the special divisions. Like he just wanted no one else to have their hands on it. And actually asked Dazai if they were able to find out any info on like the Colonel, as he wanted to find out more information about how his men were like made to be like these traitors by their own countries, and then like the group that came to Yokohama and died. But he was saying that like they couldn't find anything. And Dazai tells him it's like, yeah, they won't be able to find anything about them because the special divisions like has covered up any evidence of like their existence. And then we just get like this tragic wee page because this results in Dazai just like mentally going elsewhere and connecting like the conversation to the past, where we see in the illustration that he thinks of Oda and his final encounter with Mimic, and it's like, oh no, like Dazai just looks so beautiful in it, but it just like hurts because obviously with the Colonel being connected to Mimic and whatnot, and given what happened to Oda because of Mimic, it hurts. And then Ashley's just like looking at him like so worriedly, like, oh, bless him. So as Ashley is worrying for him, the ADA is then like given a case about two thieves that match the descriptions of Nemo and Virgo, though harshly pointed out by Kunikida that like that shouldn't be them given the fact that Atsushi saw their dead bodies. Which is it's very sad because like Ashley actually genuinely had a like wee moment. It's like, oh, it could be them, but it's just like, you kind of need to face reality a wee bit that it shouldn't be them. Which then makes Atsushi like think back to what was Gabe's true intentions and what is like the true meaning of skills and whatnot, because still doesn't understand them given the fact that here's 11 abilities and then obviously his ability, like how do they all work and whatnot. So he sets off with Kunikida to go off on this task because he's like, well, if it turns out to be them, I know exactly how to capture them. So walking off, and Ashley is then approached by Wells, thanking him for saving her life. And she asks if the ADA like have been told to arrest the terrorist that she is. And Ashley just like tells her, like, yeah, could have got like the note like this morning and whatnot, and just went, looked at it, ripped it up, threw in the bin. Oh, delighted at that. Wells like bids farewell to him and whatnot as she like moves on to like the next catastrophe. But Ashley like tries to like encourage her to be like, no, like just say hi to everybody else. Like, Kurikida's just, like, over there, and he turns, like, to go, like, obviously try and get his attention as he's, like, walking away, because obviously Kurikida just power walks away, and, like, he chases back to Wells, and nobody's there. Wells is gone. And it just leaves him with the question of, was she really there to begin with? Or, like, is this now, like, her ability is just basically, like, a skill that acts like a shadow? So, yeah, a wee bit dumbfounded, he just kind of stares and just goes, okay. But nevertheless, Asashi catches up to Kurikida to then carry on with his own journey. And with that, we come to the end of 55 minutes. So, that is this wee belter of a story over. Oh, I really do enjoy this light novel. It was just, rereading this for this video, it was just fun, because it made me realise how much I did really enjoy this. And I was actually kind of annoyed myself about why I haven't reread it sooner, because I read it like 2 years ago. Because I had planned on making this like 2 years ago. But anyway. But yeah, there we go. 55 minutes. What was the longest light novel at the time when I got it, then became the second thickest. But if you haven't read it, I do implore you to read it. It's just such a good read. It's also interesting the fact that it's one of the few that are set in like the present time, because most of the light novels are in the past. Like, the only ones that are set in the present time are 55 Minutes and Dead Apple, like, at the moment. Everything else is in the past. Like 15 in the past, Stormbringer in the past. Obviously you have Beast, but like Beast is a wee bit of its own, like, Beast is its own thing, because alternative universes are just a wee bit complicated, because yeah, it's a wee bit annoying. But that one is technically set in the present arc, the mainline kind of story, if that makes sense. It's just slightly different for obvious reasons. But yeah, we eventually got to the end. We made it, and if you made it this far, thank you so much. I can't believe you actually listened to me ramble all the way. But yeah, so I encourage you to pick it up, give it a wee read all the light novels. They're all good, and yeah. So I'm going to shut up now, because I've probably talked for way too long. But if you are not bored of that, I have plenty of other Bungo Stray Dogs content. I have a big ass playlist that has a fuck ton of content for me just rambling off about how much I love this series, as it tears my heart to shreds. But yeah, so if you like this kind of content, if you could like, comment and subscribe, I would highly appreciate it. And there will be more Bungo Stray Dogs content in the future, because this is literally the only thing that keeps me going. But yeah, so anyway, we will be back with more content and more tears and heartbreaks, all the while we smile through it all, because this series is just so good. Oh, I love it. But anyway, until next time, I'm AJ, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.